Today we're checking out the ZLX Gen 2 speakers from Electro-Voice. These are point source speakers that come in either 8 inches, 12 inches, or 15-inch configurations, and these speakers come with a ton of onboard controls with a ton of different options for effects, presets, EQ, compression, anti-feedback, Bluetooth, and a ton more. You also can control the speaker from an app so you can adjust your speakers without having to be near them. You can use it on a tripod as your main speakers for your band, which is the way that I've been using them. However, you can also set them up as a wedge or a monitor for musicians for live shows. With all the built-in effects and controls, you could use this as a solo performer as well. And they also have a setting in here where you can use this as an FRFR speaker if you use amp modelers. For this video in particular, I am going to be looking at the powered speaker model, but just FYI, they do have a passive model as well. One of the bands that I play with, 90% 90s, we've used the Gen 1 series of the ZLX speakers for multiple years. And in this video, I'm going to share my experience of using the Gen 2 models. And hopefully with sharing my experience and going over the speaker in detail, you can make the decision if these speakers are right for you and your music needs. I do want to say many thanks to Electro-Voice for sending these speakers over so I could check them out and see the upgrades from the G1 model. This is not a paid video, and all the opinions in this video are my own. If you do decide that these speakers are right for you, there will be purchase links down below in the description. And just really quick, if you follow my channel before, you know that I actually have the Evolve 50 and Evolve 70 column array speaker setups, but my singer actually has the ZLX models. We take turns on who brings the PA system, so it's not just a single person who has to bring the PA at every single show. We take turns, and also just depends. Sometimes a show is better with a column array setup. Sometimes a show is better with this setup. Just in case if any of you are wondering who have followed the channel, even though only 28% of you are subscribed right now, so consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this in the future. And let's check out the ZLX Gen 2 speakers from Electro-Voice. So for the speakers, first of all, you have your different size options. You have the 8-inch, which is new. The G1 model didn't have an 8-inch model. And then you also have a 12-inch model and a 15-inch model. So besides the obvious size difference, if you look on the back, they actually all have the exact same inputs and outputs. You have two XLR or quarter-inch combo jacks for inputs. The first input can actually provide phantom power if you want to use it with a microphone that needs phantom power. And right below the second input, you can see a high Z input if you want to plug in a guitar directly into this. All three models also have a connection for Bluetooth, and all three models also have a mix out option. I'll show you how to configure some of these when we go over the menu a little bit later. But besides the obvious size difference, what are the differences between them? As far as the frequency range of these, the 8-inch is 50 hertz up to 20 kilohertz. The 12-inch is 48 hertz up to 20 kilohertz. And the 15-inch is 42 hertz up to 20 kilohertz. As far as SPL, the 8-inch is 126 dB. The 12-inch is 127 dB. And the 15-inch is 129 dB. This is more low end and more SPL compared to the G1 model, just FYI. They all have the same coverage angle of 90 degrees horizontal and 60 degrees vertical, and they all have a power rating of 1,000 watts. You can put all of them on a tripod, which is nice. The 15 and the 12 have this screw here that you unscrew in order to place it onto a tripod, and then you screw it in to tighten it down. All of them can be used in a wedge position for like wedges for live shows if you want them in that position. And then the 15 and the 12-inch also can do this kickback position where it tilts back just slightly. The 8-inch doesn't do that, just FYI. But like I mentioned, all of them have this really nice LCD display, and now I'm going to show you all of the presets and effects and every way that you can set this up so that the speaker works best for your setup. All right, so first of all, you can make adjustments. You can adjust your master volume right here, or if you want to change one of the levels of the inputs, you can just click it and bring it up or bring it down. And you can see when I plug in music, I get level readings on both of the inputs as well as on the master output. But let's go over some of the settings. So if I want to make adjustments to the master, I would just push in order to get to the main controls. But if I want to adjust one of the inputs, I would just click input 1 and then push in on the master. Now you can see I'm editing input 1 or input 2 or the Bluetooth. Remember that you can do all of this in the app as well. Let's go over all the main controls first. So first of all, you have a couple of modes you can set this to. You have music, live, which is how I've been using it, speech, club, and then a really cool setting is FRFR for guitars, which I have been using to dial in some tones on an amp modeler, which has really been helpful. So I'm going to put this on live personally. You also can put how you are using this. I've been using it on a tripod as I've been using it live. You can also say you've put it in a kickback position where it looks like this, where it's vertical, but it's just in a kickback position, which is really cool. You can also say, are you using it as a monitor wedge? If you're using it specifically as a wedge, or if you have it against a wall. They have different settings based on how you are using it, which is really cool. For the subwoofer, are you using it with a subwoofer? If you're not, you can leave it off, but you can also set low cut at 80 hertz, 100 hertz, 120 hertz, 150 hertz, or if you're using it specifically with the ELX 12 or 18, or this model of the 15 or 18, you can specifically set that as well. We have been using this with the 18s. That's what I'm going to leave it on. You do have EQ control for just treble, mid, and bass if you want to bump or cut that, which is nice, but they give you even more control under main EQ right here. So I could say that I need to cut 36 hertz, but I want to boost 1K specifically, which is really nice that you get even more control over the EQ settings on here. You also can go down and reset all if you need to. And you can also set it to a parametric EQ if you prefer. I definitely prefer a graphic EQ. But very nice, you can make these fine adjustments as opposed to just treble, mid, and bass. Very, very cool. You can set a delay on this as well. You do have to make sure that your effects are off. If your effects are on, it'll say that you cannot do a delay. So just keep that in mind. You have to make sure that any effects that you have are disabled. So for delay, I can go in here, and it's really nice that you can set it to display in either meters, feet, or milliseconds. So I could set this to feet, and I can say that I need to set this to a delay of about 40 feet because that's where I've set my satellite speakers at. Now I have a delay at 40 feet, but it'll also display in milliseconds or meters, which is really, really cool. Let me go ahead and turn that off because next time I get to my gig, I'm going to wonder why it's delayed. For the effects, you have all sorts of different effects in here. There's 30 different effects. You have some echo and reverb. You have some different types of reverbs in here, tons of them to dial it in. Plate reverb, reverb and chorus. You have some delays. And you also have a doubling effect, which is pretty cool if you need that. I'm a fan of plate reverb, so let's do a medium plate. And then you can say effect enable on or off. Now what you do later is you can go into like input one, for example, and choose how much of the effect that you want. I'll show you that here in a minute. But just for right now, I have enabled the plate medium effect. You also have anti-feedback. I like to have that on. It just makes sense to help prevent feedback. The mix out is this port right here. So the mix out, do you want it to be left and right, or do you want it to be left or right only? So if you're doing like a stereo configuration, you can set that to be only one of them, which is cool. I'm just gonna leave this on left and right now. There are some settings here for Bluetooth. I'm going to come back to this actually when I go over the Bluetooth setting. LED, you can have it flash when it's hitting the limiter, which I do like to have on. You can turn it off if you don't want it, because you can just trust your ears as well. Settings for the display, you can lock this if you want to set up a PIN code, and you can say all of the settings or just some of the settings, and you could set up a PIN. No one can mess with your speakers. I personally just leave that off, but you do have that as an option. This dim setting, I personally turn this off just for the demo, but you can say that the screen will dim after a certain amount of seconds, which is nice. And you can also adjust the brightness of the screen. Store is really cool. So you can store different presets for different bands or different arrangements that you have. So let's say I'm going to have this set to live with a little bit of a boost in the mids and a little bit of cut in the treble with the 18-inch subwoofer. So I can go in here and I can go to store, and I have 5 different banks that I can store presets with. So I can go in here and I can enter a name. So I'm just going to call this 90s, because that's with my band 90% 90s. And I'm going to hit save. So now all my settings and configurations have been saved. So I can make adjustments. I'm going to change all of these inputs around. Go in here, change it to FRFR guitar in a monitor with no subwoofer, and leave it flat because I was programming tones on an effect processor. But then when I'm ready to use this again with my 90s band, I go to recall and I can choose this one and say yes. And it's recalled all of my settings that I had before: live, tripod, subwoofer, treble, and so on and so forth. Very, very helpful to save presets based on how you're using it. And you also can go in here and reset to default settings if you want. As far as each of the inputs, so I'm going to click this input 1 right here and then go into the main menu for input 1. On input 1, I can turn on or off phantom power. If you do want to use a mic directly with phantom power, you have that as an option. You have all sorts of different presets in here. So I have it just set on flat, but if you want to have it as a low cut or use it specifically with a vocal mic, or specifically with some of the Electro-Voice vocal mics, which FYI, I have reviewed some of their wireless. They've got some really great wireless microphones, FYI. You can just set it to speech or acoustic guitar or electric guitar, bass guitar, percussion, or just set it to like a line input. So I'm just going to actually set it to flat. You do have a compressor in here, so how much do you want to compress it? If you're using it for like speeches, that's definitely very helpful. Individual EQ control for treble, mid, and bass on just that channel. This is where you would turn on how much of the effect you want on. So if you want more of the reverb that you set up in that master, you can enable that here. So with the ducker, it will turn down the other channels. So if I plug in a mic to input 1 and I enable the ducker, if I'm playing like background music or something like that, the background music and the other channels will turn down based on where I set it. So based on where I set it, when I talk into input 1 with a microphone, the audio in the other channels will turn down. Pretty cool feature. And then FYI, I can also go to input 2 by just clicking right here. You have all the exact same effects in here, except you don't have the phantom power. Every other menu option is the exact same. And then for Bluetooth, in order to pair with Bluetooth, they actually make it insanely easy. You just tap and hold. It says hold for pairing and tells you that it's in pairing mode. And then you just connect to it like you do any other Bluetooth device. So I've connected to it on my phone. You can see that now it is paired and I can play music from it. I can make adjustments to the level right here, turning it up or turning it down. I need to bump the master a bit. Like I said, this thing gets so loud. That's at 0 and -30, and my microphone is not facing the speaker at all, so. And then even on the Bluetooth input, you have adjustments for the EQ. And then one other thing that you can do is you can actually link the speakers, link 2 speakers together. So if you click link speakers, and then you enable another of the ZLX G2 models, they're going to link together, and then you can have your Bluetooth set to 2 speakers, which is extremely convenient. Very, very cool. And here's some footage of me doing that at a show recently. And I forgot to mention that you actually can set one of the speakers to the left and the other one to the right if you want to have a stereo pair. You can also just set it to left and right, so it's just 2 mono, but you can actually set this up in stereo. Really cool for like break music and stuff like that. Very, very helpful. But don't forget, you also can do all of this from the app as well. So you can also load up the Quick Smart app, which is a free download. You do have to make sure that under your Bluetooth settings, you've enabled control pair. So you can see you can actually connect multiple ones. For this case, I just want to connect to the 12, but you can also connect multiple speakers if you want, and then just hit connect. And it'll give you this Bluetooth pairing request, hit pair. And now with the app, you can control everything that we just went over. I'm going to set it to horizontal just because that's easier to do a YouTube video on. But let me go ahead and click mixer. And then you can make adjustments to any of the inputs. So let's click on input 1. I can go into here and make adjustments to the bass or the amount of effects, or I could mute it or change the preset. I can choose a different preset over here. I can click this button up here in the upper right to go over to input 2, make changes here as well, adjust the level of it. I can go back using this mixer button up here in the upper left. I can turn the effects on or off, which is very helpful. I can also back out, and then just back here in the master level, I can also make adjustments to the speaker, the entire speaker, set the delay, the location type. Literally everything that we went over is available on the app for controlling it from the app. So you don't have to be by the speaker in order to make all of these adjustments. Very, very cool. Very, very helpful. So as far as my experience with using this, I used this at 3 shows recently, and I got footage at all of them. I do want to say many thanks to our stage manager, Larissa, for always dealing with my request of, hey, can you get footage so I can post it for the YouTube video? I do always say this when I review speakers specifically on this channel. Listening to speakers on a YouTube video is never the way to truly hear a speaker. You got to hear it live. iPhone footage from a live show only goes so far for a video. However, I think these speakers sound fantastic, and here's a couple of examples of us using it live. So I'm going to start with the 3rd show first because it was the best one out of the 3, and this was a wedding that we did.
Please tell me why.
sound beautiful, man. Thank you so much.
Show 2 was just on a patio, and it was a very slow night. But many thanks to our longtime friend Pat Anderson for filling in on drums for this one. It was a super slow night. It's the way it goes when you're a full-time musician though sometimes. And one of my favorite things to do when it's super slow is to play super cheesy licks during guitar solos to mess with my singer Anthony. At least if it's a slow night, we can still have fun.
The sky is so low.
And the first show with them was also on a patio, also a very slow night. But with this one, we did use 2 of the Electro-Voice 18-inch subwoofers, and one of them is set in that cardioid pattern, which is a really cool trick to reduce stage rumble and focus the direction of the sub frequencies in the direction that you want. Bonus tip.
Sun's coming outside, she's always running around things like that.
And this one, you're basically just hearing the one speaker because we pointed the other speaker the other way to cover more of the patio. Keep in mind, I personally use these with my band. We have in-ear monitors and external mixer, and we run the left-right output from our mixer into the ZLX speakers. That's one way that you can use these, but you can also use these as a solo performer, vocals into input 1, guitar into input 2, especially with that high Z input. And it has all the built-in effects, compression, and EQ for you to use it just with this speaker in your instruments. Or you could also use it as a wedge, or you can also use it as an FRFR speaker for your amp modelers. And again, I have been using this as a speaker for dialing in some of my tones with an amp modeler, which has been really helpful. Very nice that there's so much diversity in the ways that you can use this speaker. I really do love the app so that you can make adjustments without having to go over to the speaker itself. You can make adjustments from a tablet or a phone. Bluetooth is great for when we take breaks, especially since you can link 2 speakers together. Coming from a place of we've used the G1 models for forever, and it's really nice with all of the upgrades that come with the G2 series. With the G1 model, we were using the 12-inch ones, and we have upgraded to the 15s now. So that's also been helpful that we can get just a little bit more power when we need it. As far as pricing, the 8-inch model is currently listed at $549, the 12-inch model is $599, and the 15-inch model is $699. There will be purchase links for all of them down below in the description, or you could use the QR codes on the screen if you do decide that the speaker is right for you and your needs. If you do use those links, it is a free way to support the channel at no extra cost to use, so I would appreciate it. It helps me to be able to do more videos like this in the future. Whether you're looking at upgrading from the G1s, or you're just looking for a great portable point source speaker, I really think these speakers are fantastic. I mean, my whole band has been a fan of Electro-Voice speakers before I even started doing YouTube. We've used them over years. We've been very happy with them. And hopefully this video has given you enough information that you can make the decision if it's right for you and your needs. If you guys found the video helpful, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up. It only takes a second and truly does help out the channel, so I would appreciate it. If you guys are interested in a column array setup, I did recently review the Electro-Voice Evolve 70 and 90 models, which are column array speakers with a 15-inch or an 18-inch subwoofer on the bottom. Very cool system. I did review that as well. And if you're interested in a battery-powered setup, I have also reviewed the eVerse 8 and the eVerse 12, which are battery-powered Electro-Voice speakers. You can check out both of those videos by clicking the links on your screen now. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on my social media pages at Scott Yule Music. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.